It's a great big world out there, and I really think that everybody's life is trying to find their place in that big world. Whether it's writing a song, building a car, playing your guitar, writing a book, drawing a picture, being a parent, being a husband or wife. Everybody's journey involves that big picture. Where do I belong in that great big world out there? My life has been a roller coaster. Ups and downs, trials and errors. I'm always on that search for what defines me.
The feud with Jeff started because I needed to go have my gallbladder out. So we figured out how to write me off.
We had a rivalry with Todd and, Blackwell and all of them. It was one of those deals, man, where you had kind of like the elephant in the room. You had all of this material to work with, and at the time, my brother and I were pretty hated, among the fan base, and the fact that Todd became part of our target really opened the doors for a lot of cringe-worthy promos, especially when Jeff had the microphone, because you had no idea what would come out of that dude's mouth until you're like, he's done said it,
Jeff and I had a ball. For someone who I didn't think liked me at all, Jeff and I became very fast friends. Him and Blackwell lived in the same apartment, so it was very easy to get together with the three of us and plan things. Most of the feud and a lot of the things that Jeff said on the microphone were planned in his apartment, with the three of us laughing at some of the things he was going to say.
We would just come up with all these ideas, and we knew that Jeff being on a microphone is always gold. And he always told us, just remember, I love you. I'm going to say some mean stuff, but I don't mean it. He really went hard on Todd, and some of that shit was funny.
The feud that he had with Jeff Klaus, oh my God. Some of the things Jeff would say to Todd when he got on the stick, it would even make me blush. And Todd was a champ, and he would tell Jeff to go out there and do these things. So Todd really is, as I said a question or two ago, he is the personification of inspiration.
I didn't feel like Todd had a real grasp of who he was as a performer yet. And they did some entertaining promos and skits and things like that. With Jeff really liked to push the envelope a lot. And I think sometimes maybe it was to a detriment instead of a betterment, if that makes sense. But I just felt that Todd was not, he didn't quite have a grasp of what he wanted.
I do know that we took a lot of time and care in, if we had an idea for a promo or something during a match or something of those along those lines, we would run it by him first, because we obviously didn't want to do anything that was going to upset him. Even though, it would be, I would like to think that at that point, Todd had a pretty good understanding of how Jeff and I felt about him on a personal level.
I don't remember matches specifically, but I remember the promos. One, it was our first, kind of showing that Todd was good on the microphone and could really handle that role as a manager, and what would come later. But I remember then Pure Fury would just say anything, and we're supposed to be a PG show, and sometimes he'd say things, and we're all in the back going, "What the hell is he doing?" And I think that's the most memorable stuff, is just the words that they would say, and kind of an edgier. It became kind of an edgier feud, and since not a lot can be done in ring, it became very much a feud of words.
Looking back, I don't know if I love everything we did. I don't think that some of the promos that we went for were in very good taste. While we were trying to drive home somebody with a disability standing up for himself, at times it became almost just pointless bullying. And it became uncomfortable for the audience, for some of the people in the back, and for myself. But I was determined to make it. I was determined for this to work. Blackwell left on an injury, and it was just left to me and Jeff. I had only wrestled once in the initial run with Blackwell as a heel, and it was more of a gimmicky thing, just to be more of a weasel and let Blackwell do all the work. But I really wanted to get better. I wanted to train. I wanted to learn what I could do and possibly be a wrestler. Maybe not every show, but when it made sense to do it.
That feud meant a lot to both of them, especially Jeff. Jeff was a guy who would work with anybody. He didn't care how bad you were, or how good you were, or if you even had your name established. And, he would work with you, and he would make you look good too. So that was very important for Todd and Jeff.
It's always really weird to me seeing Blackwell as a good guy, because I know Bill quite well outside of wrestling. I know that he is let's call him a playfully antagonistic figure. I don't know if I'm allowed to say the F word, but he likes to with people, so he works really well as a heel. So it's always really bizarre seeing him working babyface. Now Simon Page, on the other hand, seeing him work baby, I feel like that's when Simon Page started to become the Simon Page that we would know throughout the rest of his tenure. I feel like that's when Todd really started to become comfortable in the role, and Todd's such a naturally likable guy that he really excelled in the role of babyface. It's at the point now where it's actually kind of weird imagining Simon Page as a bad guy.
In preparation for this feud, Todd really wanted to get more physically involved and sought the advice of Levi Blue and Michael Reaver, and I really can't think of two better guys to sit under the learning tree from and just kind of pick their brain.
I have to admit I was nervous about it. I worked with a person before. When he first broke into the business, I started training Zach Gowen at Thunder Zone Wrestling in Livonia many years ago. So I got together with my tag team partner Mike, and we kind of put our heads together how we were going to work around Todd's special circumstances and his limitations in the ring.
They saw what I was trying to do and didn't hesitate to take me under their wing and try to show me things I could do and work with me.
We had to work around his shortcomings. And what turned out to be a scary venture for me wound up turning into one of the funner aspects of the business I've had, because it was a learning experience for me.
Mike would come over to my house and we would have full-on training sessions in my living room. That really filled me with the encouragement that maybe I can be a wrestler. Maybe it's not asking too much for me to wrestle more and manage less.
In any capacity, if you can get some sort of guidance or you can learn something from a Michael Reaver or a Levi Blue, you've got no choice but to improve. And you could really see that, and I'm sure a lot of it had to do with his routine that he had with the DDP yoga, because you could see him. He had a swagger about him. He looked stronger. He looked healthier. He looked motivated. He looked like he was ready to kick somebody's ass.
I wasn't very much of a trained wrestler. I knew some things, but not enough to carry me through a match of any sort. And I was still very, very limited. But Jeff was very eager to work with me and see if I could go. Jeff was eager to try. And we ended up having a match on ONTV in Lake Orion for the final episode of Showdown Live. I got this blue singlet and blue kick pads and everything, and I'm wearing kick pads and I don't even throw kicks. I'm wearing a singlet and I'm not a technical wrestler. What am I doing in a singlet? Not to mention, I wasn't in that kind of shape. I got some really encouraging words from Michael Reaver and Levi Blue in the back before we went out. And we're standing in Gorilla and Jeff comes up and he hugs me. And he says, I know you're nervous. I know you haven't done this much before. Just listen to me and you'll be fine. I'll take great care of you. Let's go have a blast out there. I felt like a superstar. Everything went exactly how we planned. It wasn't the prettiest match I've ever had, but we were entertaining and we told a story. We set up the feud to go one step further. The big idea that Jeff and I had was it all culminating at the next WrestleRama show. The idea being that I started WrestleRama at 21 as a videographer, and here I am a year later competing in the ring against a veteran of the MWO. That was the story I had in my mind.
So I saw Todd wrestle in person for the first time a few years back, and I was a little bit skeptical. I'd never seen him wrestle in person. I know that he had trained for it, and I was just worried about him because he is my brother-in-law, and I don't want to see him get hurt. And wrestling, it's not fake. When he came through the curtain for the first time and started walking down that ramp, I had a sign up. I was cheering for him. He looks over and gives me this look, and I didn't recognize the guy because he was so focused on what he was going to do. Get in that ring, wrestle his opponent, and try and get a 1, 2, 3.
The road to WrestleRama marched on. We had a couple more shows. I had a couple more in-ring things. And then it was brought to my attention that a couple people on the board weren't comfortable with me wrestling. A lot of people saw me as a liability in many ways. The disability, the surgeries that I had had. A lot of people were scared that I was going to get hurt. I knew I could take care of myself in the sense that I would never do anything that I knew I couldn't do in the first place. So Michael Reaver comes up with this plan. Michael Reaver's plan was to have a match. Me and him, one-on-one, no interference, no crazy gimmicks. Simon Page versus Michael Reaver. The deal he made was if during the match he felt like I was okay to go, and I was okay to be in WrestleRama, and I was okay to be in this multi-man tag match we had, and I would get the seal of approval, and I would go on to be in this match. If things went south, or he felt like I just wasn't ready, then we would do a different ending where I wouldn't be in the match. Basically, my win in the match determined whether or not I'd be in the semi-main event of WrestleRama. It was a lot. It was a lot of pressure. It was a risk on not only my part, but his. I was very thankful that he stuck his neck out like that and believed in me enough to give me at least a chance to prove it. I was ready to fail if I failed on my own terms, but I was so eager to be in that main event that I would pull out any stop I could. It's time for me to finally step into the ring by myself. No managers, no nothing. Mike worked so hard with me and believed in me so much. This, I already knew, was going to be a defining moment in my career one way or the other. I felt for the first time that if I didn't get this main event match at WrestleRama, I'd be okay. Because I got to have a one-on-one match in front of a fairly large crowd with someone who had become not only my teacher, but one of my absolute best friends. It meant a lot to me to go out there and do something I've always wanted to do ever since I was in high school. Mike really took the time to get to know me and my limitations a lot more than many. The match goes wonderfully. The story we told was inspiring. It was so cool to tell the story of this person who has fought and scraped most of his life, got in the ring with someone who is a very respected veteran in the company, and go the distance. It also encompassed a lot of my real life. For the first time, I really understood the phrase, leave it all on the mat. By the time the match ended and I found out that I was going to win, that victory cemented me in the semi-main event of WrestleRama. I felt vindicated. Like what I had set out to do, I did it. It was probably one of the most exciting moments of my life, and to this day is my crowning achievement in the ring.
I knew we needed to go get to WrestleRama, and I had asked Jason Platinum and Corporal Payne if they would want to come have one more match, do this 8-man tag, and if they don't say yes, I'm not pitching it.
I got a text from Bill Sackman, Blackwell, and asked me if I wanted to be a part of I think it's a 10-man tag, if I'm not mistaken, 10-man tag match with Todd and with him and Todd, and then we had Corporal Payne, my old Corp running mate, and that was pretty cool. No, that's where I got to know Todd on a personal level. The storyline we were doing was kind of like an anti-bullying type gimmick, you know. The disability was being, made into a storyline, you know, and for someone who was bullied in the past about my size and, you know, the color of my skin, you know, why not be a part of this?
You know, the story going into WrestleRama 22, I thought, you know, it was one of our better storylines in terms of you know, taking an idea and building what would be, you know, pretty much become nearly a year-long program, you know, with different, you know, twists and turns in the storylines and things of this nature. But, you know, we knew when we were heading back to Birch Run for WrestleRama 22, so this would be in the spring of 2016, we knew we needed this to be the payoff of this feud, but we wanted to make it special. We wanted to make it different.
Reaver and Levi and myself had planned a bunch of fun things for us to do, fun ways for me to get involved and to have kind of a cat and mouse thing between us and really kind of play up the silliness in the match the best we could, but also make it really entertaining and fun.
So leading up to that, you know, we had a big group chat and we were talking about some of the things we wanted to do in the match and everything. And leading up to the match, I remember when Todd was excited, like Jason Klaus posted a video of the match list, and I missed the live video, and I get a text message, hey, Platt, we're semi-main. Like, we are? You got 2 people that's out of retirement, and we're semi-main? That's pretty damn cool. So leading up to it, we text every day about some of the spots we wanted to do. You know, that wasn't even really like all wrestling. It was wrestling plus personal life, plus, you know, why you got into the business. And the more I talked to Todd, the more close I've gotten to him. And before long, as her brother now, you know, you're in this business that I love with my heart, and I see you have the same passion that I have. You know, when you were told you can't do it, just like I was told I couldn't do it, and now we're doing it. So, you know, we can relate a lot, and that's what I love about Todd.
Todd was obviously going to become very involved in this because he was very prominently featured in the rivalry leading up to what would be this 8-man, you know, tag team match. And that show stands out. You know, it was very different from an atmosphere wise than when we were there the previous year, and I think it's because, you know, we had been there, you know, we kind of got that first show, you know, nervousness and the jitters and everything. We got those out of the way. Now it was about producing the absolute best show possible.
When we got to the show, after we set everything up, I was like, I wonder if this building has any extra tables that are like junk or that we could buy from them or whatever. And we find out, yeah, we just threw one away. Alright, cool. Come here, Stitches. Me and Jeff made Stitches climb in the dumpster and dig it out. We made him dig through the dumpster to find this table for us so that we could break it.
We get to the venue, we get dressed, and get to the meeting for our match, and I find out that pretty much everything that Reaver and Levi and myself had planned wasn't going to happen. Found out that because Zero Briggs had brought family members with him, that he kind of guilt-tripped his way into getting a bigger spot in the match, and I was going to be relegated to a couple minutes. It kind of really bummed me out. I was really kind of sad about it because I felt that Mike and I had done such a good job and told such a believable story. I thought that that was enough to prove that I could handle myself and prove that I could be entertaining with people and have more than just a little goof spot, so to speak. As they say, you go with what you get. You work with what you have and you do the best you can. So I sucked it up and didn't really make a fuss and decided, you know, I'm getting this opportunity. I could have not been in the match at all. We can still make it fun, we can still be entertaining, and I'm still in a semi-main event of a pretty big show. So I did my best to find the silver lining of the situation.
I mean, it was a big old rumble, but it's WrestleRama. That's what you want. 8 men in the ring, all beating the hell out of each other. Everyone's clearly color coordinated, so I'm not getting mixed up on commentary. Good time to be had.
One of the things I wanted to get across to people was when a man who has worked as hard as Todd did, who put as much as heart, his soul, his body, his life at risk in that ring, I wanted to reward him. And I know a lot of people watching this video, they don't know who the hell I am. I wrestled as Levi Blue for over 20 years in the state of Michigan. I'm in 5 different Hall of Fames, and I happily got pinned by Todd Gilbert in the center of the ring. The guy who the first time I saw thought he was a liability in the ring took down Levi Blue. That was one of the best backstage feelings I ever had in my life when Todd come back and give me a hug and thanked him, because Todd doesn't know what he did for me. I learned so much by working with Todd that one little act, in my opinion, wasn't enough to repay him. And I think that's why we're not friends. Todd and I, let's get this straight. We are not friends. We're blood, we're brothers, and we're family. And I would do anything for that guy.
This match goes on for 45 minutes before it finally ends. Me and Jeff do our table spot outside, get double counted out. And to this day, I still believe the finish should have involved me instead of Platinum, because it was our story, but it is what it is.
Looking back on it, I really think that it played out the way it played out because the people in charge were more concerned for my safety than anything else. I think it played out that way because even though I'd had a few matches, I was still learning. I was not awful, but everybody in that ring, with the exception of Zero Briggs, was better than me. And they knew I was going to be around for the long haul, and so they were protecting me and making sure that I had involvement, but at the same time, very limited risks. But I was so determined to wrestle. I was so determined to prove the people who didn't want me in this match wrong. I was blinded by that. We went out and had a great match. I saw the ending going a little differently, but at the end of the day, I'm thankful that I got to be involved in such a big thing and such a fun thing with a bunch of friends.
22 was a lot easier to work behind the scenes than 21 was. And a lot of that is attested to the fact that, you know, I knew who I was working with, both as my partners and my opponents. I knew the kind of cool stuff that we wanted to accomplish, and you know, it was a great culmination on a great day for the organization.